Andrew, let me tell you, never start a company. Am I right?
Never start a
No,
company.
don't do it. It's
Yeah,
just too much love.
it's hard.
I think you and I have been on the phone, I don't know, maybe an entire day if we added all the minutes up over the last week and a half. Like 24 hours.
Like, yeah, probably. And that's not including texts and all the other ways we communicate. There is just so much to do, from the mundane admin stuff all the way to the exciting stuff, like talking to prospective clients and talking about projects. Wow, I feel blessed and lucky though. I mean, it's been an amazing few weeks. In the previous episode, we announced that we started the Andrew Company. We have formally gone into business together to build great products and help companies do the same. And yeah, it's been a wild ride, man. And then Washington D.C. like it was plagued with like biblical levels of ice, and your plumbing basically exploded repeatedly, and your child was home all week from school.
Yep.
So we did not do a Product Fridays on time, but we're back.
We're back, baby. I guess we
Yeah.
should just say it. Welcome to Product Fridays. I'm Andrew McGill.
I'm Andrew Phelps.
And today, Andrew, I want to talk about something actually that happened really, really recently, but I think has actually happened a few months ago. Can we do that?
Let's jump in.
Okay. Tuesday, the NASDAQ dropped a lot. And a bunch of software companies saw like huge day over day losses. I got Claude to pull them together here. LegalZoom was down 20%. Salesforce was down 7%. Atlassian, like our favorite software to hate, Jira, was down 11%. Intuit, the other software that I love to hate, QuickBooks, was down 11%. All of these software platforms posted these like huge day-over-day drops.
$300 billion in market value wiped out in a day.
And, you know, the reason why feels like so small and picayune, but the reason people think it happened is because Anthropic released a plugin to one of its popular new platforms to help people read legal documents better. Like that was the news event that is supposedly triggered this giant sell-off.
So explain why Claude releasing a legal plugin would trigger this.
Okay, so I think, you know, I'll zoom out in a second, but let me stay really focused on this right here. Claude has built out Anthropic's built out a new platform that's a little bit separate from its chatbot, which is called Claude, and it's called Cowork, and it kind of is like Claude on steroids. It lets you do all sorts of agentic stuff, which we'll get into in a few minutes, basically more complicated, longer running tasks. And this plugin basically let you review contracts and do like minor lawyerly-ish things independently. And I think the market saw that and said, oh, wait, like, are we still going to need LegalZoom to make, memorandums of understanding when Claude can just do it for basically for free for somebody? Like, what is the point of LegalZoom at this point? And then they start thinking, well, what is the point of Atlassian and task management if the people are just using Claude to do stuff? We're going to need fewer developers and fewer seats. Well, what's the point of having QuickBooks to like reconcile our accounts when people can just drag and drop their financial records into a place like Claude and it just does it for them? Do we even need software? And I think that's why we saw this big sell-off.
And these companies literally were gatekeepers of this expertise. You had to go to LegalZoom if you weren't a lawyer, but you needed a memorandum of understanding. Intuit reportedly lobbied Congress to keep the tax code complex so that people would continue to need their software. And a lot of these products you and I don't love, but we sort of hold our noses and pay the monthly subscription fee because we don't have the time or the expertise to do those things that the software does for us. But again, the agentic future or the agentic present that we now find ourselves in changes all of that potentially.
Totally. And I kind of want to zoom out because I don't actually think the precipitating event for any of this was this little plugin that Anthropic released. I think it actually happened a few months ago in November. So actually not that far when Anthropic released a new model. And that model is called Opus 4.5, baby. And you and I know Opus 4.5 very well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can speak to this yourself. I think you coded a whole iOS app with it in like a month.
Yeah, yeah. It was essentially my pair programmer working through not just implementing features or finding bugs, but actually architecting a product to do what was in my head. And, it did what a great senior engineer could do just much faster, which was read through huge sections of the code base and deduce what it is that we were trying to accomplish. And it had this kind of spooky, proactive ability to anticipate what I might want to do, even if we weren't talking about that part of the code base. I'm thinking, you're a cursor user too. That's the primary way that I think we both would use Claude models to do coding. And every time I would spin up a new cursor window, a new chat, I'd have this little bit of dread where I'm like, the agent has to reread all the instructions and look through the whole code base again to figure out what this app even does. And I feel like that micro dread I felt every time I started a chat disappeared when Opus 4.5 came out, because it just had an amazing ability to very quickly understand in depth what I was accomplishing, looking at the code base for the very first time.
I've noticed the same thing there was a step change in how faithfully an AI model could reproduce my Figma designs. Figma is my design software. And when I used to throw Figma files at an LLM before, it would just do it wrong. And I swear, going into Cursor, changing the model to 4.5, Opus 4.5, it just did it perfectly. And there's still some small things, of course, and sometimes it adds things you don't want. But it was like, I spend now only 5 minutes cleaning up after this work instead of, an hour building out this page. 4.5, Opus 4.5, truly, like a sea change in how this stuff works. And I also note, Gemini has a new model out that's as good or better.
Gemini 3 Pro.
Yep, and I think OpenAI's GPT 5.2 Pro, God, so hard to remember these
5.2 Codex Max is their flagship. It's quite good, differently good from Claude. Like, there's different reasons you'd use any of these models, but yes, they are all in this space now.
So that's the event number one that happened. Opus 4.5 launched, dramatically better across the board. Number two, Claude and OpenAI, I should say Anthropic and OpenAI, both have launched what we call like command line utilities. They both release these tools. For Claude, it's called Claude Code, where you can just run it on your computer and it can like use files and it can do stuff. And it's sort of what I do with Cursor, but it's even more wide ranging. You can just say, do whatever you need to do with my computer to make this task happen. And it was kind of niche for a while. People used it to make programs. They used it to code stuff. But when Opus 4.5 came out, I think people started realizing, hey, this can just be used for basically any task that I need my computer to do. And like the normies started seeing it. And I think a friend of ours forwarded along an essay from Casey Newton from Platformer, also does hard fork for the New York Times, who's like, hey, I'm a writer and I'm using Claude Code a lot. I'm like having it organize my archives and I'm using it to search through things. And basically, I think people figured out, I can use this like weird programmer's interface to just accomplish daily tasks. And, they weren't the only ones that realized that. The companies also realized it, which is why OpenAI and Anthropic both have released new little ancillary products. I call them like Canvas type software or workspace software, which is a sort of a version of their chatbot, but it's meant to like live and access things on your computer and do stuff for you just in a much more accessible way. You don't have to go into terminal and do things.
And do stuff for you is that key word. It's why we say agents, because they have agency. This is different from just the conversational interfaces we've become accustomed to, like ChatGPT. But then it can do a whole bunch of things on your behalf in the background and come back to you with some result, which is incredibly powerful.
Yeah, and you kind of needed both these things to happen. Like, you needed the much smarter model, and you needed us as human beings to realize, hey, if I just give the bot access to my computer, it can do a lot more. You needed to have both that access and that intelligence that came with this new model to make this happen. And I think those are the real reasons that we saw this giant drop in software valuations this week.
And by the way, those models are very expensive.
Oh my God.
Yours truly did upgrade to the $200 per month cursor plan to be able to use more Opus. It was that valuable. Still far more inexpensive than hiring a senior engineer for even 1 hour. So a good deal when you think about it.
Well, okay, so I kind of want to put this into practice. I want to test this theory.
Yeah.
The market thinks that these new models and these new workspaces are going to substantially devalue software companies' output in the world. I think we should see if it's real. So here's what I've done, Andrew. I have downloaded a zip file of all of my credit card expenses for the business for the last 2 years. And I have dropped this into Claude and asked it to pull out the software as a service companies that I pay the most money to. I want us to go through there. I want us to pick, let's say 3. And I think we should put that up for the audience to vote, which one we vibe code a replacement to over the next few weeks.
I love it. There are services that I love to pay for because I love them so much. I'm happy to pay for Claude every month. And then there are services that I really just have to hold my nose and let it auto renew, and it drives me crazy. I would love to replace one of those.
All right, should I just start reading off the list?
Let's do it.
Okay, the thing I pay the most money to somehow is Figma. I've paid like $2,000 to them over the last few years. I am not trying to replace Figma at this point. I think Figma still feels opinionated enough to me to keep around.
Yes, Figma is amazing and has delivered huge value to our businesses. So I think Figma gets to stick around.
Number 2, now here's one I'd love to get rid of. I have spent $1,900 on Adobe Creative
Oh my
Suite.
God. Ugh, now that's a subscription I do not enjoy paying for. And it's one of those subscriptions where I need one of those services once a month, maybe, or I need a font, or I got to do something in Photoshop. But man, I love it. But what are we going to vibe code away Photoshop? Like, forget it.
That's the thing. I feel like the moat for Adobe is that they actually do have a lot of fiber to that offering. There's tons of stuff you get from the money you pay.
Yeah.
And each thing is like so complicated that I simply don't want to try and abstract it. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, my next vendor is OpenAI, which of course I can't get rid of at this
think
point.
we should vibe code them out of business, baby.
All right, next up is QuickBooks.
Oh, dude, this is my choice.
I feel like QuickBooks is begging to be put out of its misery.
I use their upstart competitor FreshBooks, which I think I hate as much as you hate QuickBooks. I don't even know that it's that we hate it. It's that what they do seems so straightforward and basic, and it's so expensive that it seems like surely we could do our own version. Not put it out there in the world and sell it. Just like do it. It's a little bit bigger than Excel and a little bit smaller than those products.
And I want to make a clarification clear for the listeners. When we are vibe coding our replacement, nobody else is going to use that thing. We are locking it down. It is just for us. We are putting a password on, a biometric scanner just for the
It's going to have a
Andrews.
password. That's how you know it's secure.
But I think this is if we just zoom out for a second, like part of the concern for software makers. It's not that everyone's going to be able to vibe code a replacement to QuickBooks and then they're going to sell it and it's going to be more popular than QuickBooks. I think their actual concern is folks like you and me are just going to vibe code our own little personal version, which nobody else sees, but effectively replaces our seat cost.
Yeah, and we don't need to pay those subscription fees anymore. Okay, even though I think we both really like this one, can you go through the next few in the list?
Yeah, of course. Okay, Google Cloud we're keeping. Vercel is basically hosting as well. We're going to keep that. Zapier is like a connections thing. I could see it.
I mean, arguably the agent world that we are living in, it replaces Zapier if they're not smart, or they become an agent company. But yeah, that's almost like a meta product in a sense.
Yeah,
it's connecting different apps together.
I feel like it's tough, so I think we move beyond that. Loom also feels like it has some specialized stuff. This is my my software basically to take recordings of my screen while I talk to people and then send those videos so they can like know how to update their password or something.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I just record videos with like QuickTime and I talk, but people love Loom.
They do love Loom.
It's a very purpose-built, opinionated product that I don't have need for, but I know that you use it all the time. But yeah, anything with like video or images or manipulation of video or images, like I don't even know how you'd vibe code that. I'm sure it's possible.
Yeah, it seems like much more. We want a quick win. We want it to be easy and high value. And a service we hate a lot. I don't hate Loom. I think it's fine.
No, it's good.
Okay, I'm not going to... Cursor's my next one. I'm not trying to vibe code out of Cursor. Calendly is interesting.
There you go.
This one I've paid $408 to. And, you know, all it does is make a little scheduling page so people can see my calendar.
And yet it still does it better than anyone else, including Google, which is trying to introduce this feature natively in Google Workspace. It's got a long way to go.
All right, Calendly's on the list.
Yeah, it's on the list.
Okay, that's one of the three. I'm just going to keep on going down. DocuSign.
No, this is such a waste of money.
Oh, okay. Well,
we've had our little debates about this.
All right. I think there's two types of people in the world. There's four types. People that show up to airports early, people that show up late. But the other two types are people who think you need to use DocuSign to sign legal documents, which is the truth. And people who think you can just go into like the preview app on Mac and use the annotate function to draw your signature and then hit save and then send that back.
It's worked for all my contracts. Do you think they have like some special congressionally appointed power to be more legal and more official? All they do is superimpose an image of a signature, which is usually you typing your name, it's not even your signature, on a doc, then share it to somebody else, and then they do the same, and then it stores it in like their equivalent of Dropbox. That's all it does. How much have you paid for that, young man?
I have paid $381.60. Yeah.
Boise.
Okay. So I guess we could put DocuSign on it.
Just open the preview app, drop your signature in, export
don't
PDF.
Even need to vibe code it.
Done.
I feel like we're starting to hit diminishing returns because LinkedIn Premium I've paid money for, but like I can't vibe code that.
I hate paying for that one, I gotta say.
I know.
Yeah, anything with the social, you can't vibe code a network effect. I mean, that's like that's untouchable.
True. Okay. Scrolling down the list here, I'm skipping over a few that are just subscriptions and don't make sense. Slack, I'm not going to vibe code away. Here's my last one. I think I found the last one, Andrew. You ready?
Yeah.
Bitly. Link shorteners.
You pay for Bitly. Yeah, that's right, because they charge you now because there was so much spam that they started charging people money, and then it became sort of a line of
pay $200. I paid $200 to
Wait,
Bitly.
We don't need short URLs anymore, though, do we?
Well, I don't know.
It's not like
don't you want to like track clicks and stuff and all that stuff?
Oh, it's less the short part and more the like data part.
Yeah.
I think I've needed a short link to something once in the last 3 years. It was to like tell people in a meeting how to get to a prototype without giving them a long Figma thing.
Yeah.
Wow, $200. I think that's 100% should be the third. Okay, so what are the top three again?
Okay, the top three that we are going to consider vibe coding away are QuickBooks, Calendly, and Bitly.
QuickBooks, Calendly, and Bitly. It's too bad it's not called QuickBooksly. That would be a little more parallel, wouldn't it?
You know what I'll do? Let's just meta this all the way out. I'm going to ask Claude which ones we should vibe code away.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
I'm just going to say which ones are most susceptible and have the highest ROI for us to vibe code a personal replacement. We are not trying to sell it. We just want to use it ourselves. And of course, I'm using Opus 4.5.
I've got my own little framework in my head for how we decide.
I'll tell me. Yeah. Well, wait.
There's like ease. To me, Bitly seems the easiest, although could be wrong. Or you could go by how much we spend, which would be the QuickBooks. And DocuSign's sort of in the middle of those two. It's like the middle of spend and it's the middle of easy.
All right, here's what Claude thinks. It's suggesting we replace Zapier, okay. Yeah, it's giving me some suggestions that like are open source frameworks that are self-hostable. I don't want to deal with that. Here's one that I do think is replaceable, but I don't really want to do it because it's so boring, is Typeform. Like Typeform is a pretty expensive Google Forms replacement.
Right.
And it just looks nicer.
Nice looking.
It looks nice and has more functions on it.
That's a good one.
Maybe we'll add that in. We'll see. Claude also thinks I should replace Squarespace, but I don't think it's understanding correctly. It's like you can just build a static website on Vercel. Well, of course. Squarespace shouldn't exist soon. Here's the ones that says don't bother replacing. It agrees that Figma and Adobe are hard to do. It agrees that OpenAI and Claude are probably hard to replace. It is saying QuickBooks has accounting compliance, tax integration, not worth the risk. And here's why I think it's wrong. Because they're correct. QuickBooks does tons of that stuff. You and I don't really use it for that. We have an accountant. We don't use the TurboTax add-on. We literally use it to categorize expenses and like build out our P&L statements and things like that, which I think we could vibe code easily. Okay, so I think out of this then we are still kind of focusing on Calendly, Bitly, QuickBooks, and I think the one that we're considering adding to the list was Typeform, but I don't really want to do Typeform.
I kind of want to do Calendly.
All right.
I'm kind of mad that I just paid the annual subscription fee, but yeah, although, you know, calendars are kind of complex.
Well, here's what I'd say, Andrew, we don't have to worry about this because we're going to put the 3 up for a vote for our listenership.
Okay.
To weigh in, and we get the final vote. Okay, this is not a democracy.
It's not a democracy.
Not a democracy. I mean, in so many ways. But they get a vote, and we will take their opinions well in hand. And by the way, we'd love to hear from you too if there's some other service that you think is worth trying to vibe code, even if we don't personally use it. Or if you think it would make our lives better to have our own vibe coded version, we'd love to try it. But I think if we can do this, Andrew, if we can get one of these bills off of our credit cards, then maybe the market has a point here, and that these SaaS platforms are actually in trouble. And I want to close out with a question. You know, we are product makers. We believe in making opinionated products. Should we be worried?
Not really. I mean, most of what you and I do for the Andrew Company, visit us at andrew.company, is ideation. It's creative work that is not necessarily writing code. I mean, sure, we are sometimes writing code, but we are not a software development shop specializing in WordPress plugins, which is a very big cottage industry. You know, they might have to worry more, but I do feel that the creativity industry has an enabler in AI rather than a competitor.
Yeah, as I think about our business and what we do, what our moat is, what our challenges are, I think if we were over leveraged into execution, you know, that's heading downward a bit because we're just seeing so much more agency, if you will, out of these LLMs. My bet, our bet, the reason for being here is that knowing the business opportunity is 3/4 of the battle. And the good news is that execution just got a lot easier.
Yes.
And that what we are good at doing with each other is figuring out what the right opportunity is, and then crucially talking to people, and then equally crucially building small things to prove out that idea. And now maybe in the future, instead of handing that off to a really expensive dev shop, you know, like a client or ourselves or a different consultant is able to spin it up even more easily using all this like heavy firepower. But finding the opportunity is always the hardest part.
Yeah, agree.
All right, let's go do some vibe coding. We'll send it out, everybody. Again, productfridays.com. We thirst for your feedback and for your recommendations. Happy Friday, Andrew.
Happy Friday.